Coming up today on David versus Goliath.
Law governs every part of our life. I mean, every single thing. I would like to call myself a crusader for justice.
You absolutely want this guy as your attorney. It's amazing.
Welcome to today's episode of David versus Goliath, a podcast dedicated to helping small businesses leverage technology to not only help them compete against their large competitors, but win. Your host is currently the CEO of Anthem Business Software, a three-time Inc. 500 recipient, and a serial entrepreneur with a passion to help small businesses everywhere find, serve, and keep more customers profitably. Please join me in welcoming your host, Adam DeGraide.
Hey everyone, it's Adam DeGraide from the David versus Goliath podcast. Today we're going to have Denzell Moton from the Moton Legal Group. It's a great interview. This guy's focus and intelligence is second to none. I think you're going to truly enjoy it. And today's episode is brought to us by AutomateMySocial.com, where you can automate up to 100% of your business's social media. Never have to think about it again. Save time, save money. AutomateMySocial.com. Visit us online at davidvsgoliathpodcast.com. There you can subscribe to be receive our newsletter and also apply to be on the podcast. Well, let's get right to it today with Denzell. Denzell, welcome to the David versus Goliath podcast.
Oh man, thank you so much. Thank you. I'm excited to be here.
It's awesome. A couple of things. So first of all, folks, you've got to go check out his website. What is that actual URL again? It's Moton.
Yeah, Moton Legal Group. That's right. .com. So very simple. No hidden anything. Just MotonLegalGroup.com. That's it.
That picture of you, Denzell, on that website is epic. That beard is amazing. I hope you're not changing that with the new site that's coming out. But For the watchers, you got to go check out the beard. It's amazing. It reminds me of my brother. My brother's got a really giant beard. I can't grow one. I don't know what it is, but anyway. Okay. But for the watchers and listeners, Denzell knew at an early age he wanted to practice law. He has a business administration BS from the College of Charleston, Wake Forest University, Master of Studies in Law, a doctorate, a Juris Doctor from Cumberland School of Law, seated at Samford University. While at Cumberland, he served as the chief judge of the honor court and as the legal writing teaching assistant to Carruthers Fellow. In addition, Denzell participated with regional championships, winning multiple national regional championships, ranked in the national trial program. He opened Moton Legal Group in September of 2022. He focuses on personal injury, business. He also has twin kids, married, loves to go to church, and help people in his community. When I read that, I was like, I had to share that with people because it was so impressive. Tell the folks a little bit about your path to law and a little bit about your business and what you're trying to achieve.
Sure, absolutely. So, I come from, a small city in Aiken, South Carolina, and just right next door to Augusta. So I tell people I was a South Carolina kid with Georgia on my mind. We got all the Masters traffic. And so it was just great growing up. And so I had this one particular uncle who was a Vietnam veteran, and he always had this notion of the law. Like he knew enough about it just from experience, interactions, but it was never quite pinpoint accurate. It was always close enough. And that would always spark my interest. And so we would sit down over a game of chess and kind of chop it up. And, basically he would always give me enough just to keep me going. And so eventually I got to a point where I said, you know what, I got to figure out the answers on my own. And so I shadowed some attorneys in high school. I did any kind of going to city council meetings and engaging in any kind of activities that were law related, legally focused, and eventually went to school, College of Charleston in 2010, graduated in 2014. And then eventually, as you said, went to Wake Forest for the Master's of Studies in Law program. And then next thing you know, I actually went home. Yeah. No, I went to a lot of private schools. So we got to work hard to, make sure that money gets to those payments. But, eventually, ultimately got to Cumberland and got involved in the trial program. I initially kind of thought I would stay away from it and do solely business law. Not even thinking, about the idea of business litigation. And then, got involved, got a chance to get hands-on and work with some amazing people, some amazing judges and trial advocates in themselves. And then next thing you know, short couple years later after graduating, I'm like, let's do this thing on your own. And we can really get in and start working with people and do the kinds of things that, are important to me and able to, give me the time to be a family person and active in the community and those kinds of things.
Yeah. One of the things I think that people miss is that the earlier you can become your own boss, the better. And although sometimes it does happen later in life for people, but you're free to do a lot more things that you love to do if you can figure out how to do it. Now, that's a bold move. Like, did you work in a firm before that? Or did you just go right from school saying, I'm going to do this on my own? Did you have some apprenticeship at all?
Yeah, so I did internships, clerkships throughout law school. So I really had a chance to work with some good ones. Probably one of my favorites of all of them was working with Southern Company. And that kind of allowed me to tie in and solidify that interest with business law. I loved contract law coming out of law school. And so being able to kind of tie that in early on, I was like, oh man, I love this. And then I had a chance to work with some civil defense firms, got that litigation experience, the grind, the writing the memos, the hearings, that kind of thing. But we also work with a lot of business clients, small business clients. So again, it kind of all started tying together. And then later, and that was my first year. And then later in the second and third years, had a chance to work with some personal injury. So then that's where the personal injury design came in. And then along the way, I actually got in a car accident in my first year of law school while I was clerking for a defense firm. So it kind of all really just came, full circle. And so, 3 years passed. And next thing you know, it's like, okay, well, it's time to go to work. And so actually I was first employed by some of my trial team coaches. They actually got me my first shot there. So I had a chance to work with a large law firm, that was, servicing, 300 and 400 clients, at a time where we were just bringing in that many cases. And then on the flip side, I eventually left there and then went to a smaller, more boutique firm where it was kind of a bit more individualized. So I had a chance to see, both sides of the spectrum as it pertained to, business law or personal injury law, I should say. And then eventually I said, you know what? I've got enough skills. Like I've seen this. I've touched enough cases. I've helped enough people, doing it with someone else to now where I said, you know what, let's try our hand at it on our own. And like you said, give that shot at being your own boss. I say, cause hey, it just might be crazy enough.
I love the stories of people that have vision and they have belief, number one, and then that matches with vision. I talked about that in the last 2 weeks. Of course, you didn't know that because they're not out yet. But my last 2 episodes, when people are watching this, was about belief meeting vision.
Yeah,
and then the acorn of your life, getting out there and doing it. Denzell, this is so much fun. We're going to take a break from our corporate sponsor, Automate My Social. But when we come back, we're going to talk about what an ambulance chaser really is. No, I'm just kidding. I know that the people don't tell you that. We're going to talk a little bit about personal injury. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Do you own a business? Do you have or need a social media presence? If you are like most businesses, you spend either no time or too much time and money on your social media strategy, spending thousands of dollars per month only to get mediocre and inconsistent results. This leads to frustration and, in some cases, sleepless nights. Introducing AutomateMySocial.com. Automate 90% of your social media and never have to think about it again. That's right. Automate your business's social media posting and strategy like forever. Automate the essentials and customize only what's needed. Save time, save money, and get better results with AutomateMySocial.com. Our patent-pending technology gives you the ability to automatically create your social post and distribute them immediately, like in seconds, across all your social media platforms. Stop the madness of paying someone to create, post, and manage your strategy, and let our software do the work, so you don't have to. Oh, and if you're an agency or social media manager, you too can let our software do all the work, and you can get all the credit. It will be our little secret. With AutomateMySocial.com, you can have it all. It's easy to use, never complains, and never asks for time off or more benefits. See this amazing new software application at AutomateMySocial.com. If you own a business or manage client social media and want to save time, energy, money, all while increasing your return on investment, then let's get this party started at AutomateMySocial.com.
Welcome back to the David versus Goliath podcast with your host, Adam DeGraide, and Denzell from Moton Legal Law Group. And I mentioned in jest, The Ambulance Chaser. One of my favorite movies of all time is a comedy called Brain Donors. And there's a guy, I forget the name of his actor. He is an ambulance chaser. And, so you see the scene of this accident. This family's in a fender bender, and the lawyer comes running up. And he says, "Lady, you should not be in your condition getting in an accident." Lifts up her sweater, throws in a thing, blows it up. She looks like she's pregnant. He starts corroborating his whole story with everyone around him. That is not what you do as a personal injury attorney.
That is definitely not what you do. You're absolutely right.
It is a misconception people have. Tell the folks a little bit about what personal injury, how important it is, and then what they should think about people like yourself and what makes you a little bit different.
Yeah. So, personal injury touches on a array of subjects. So, the most common thing is you're thinking of car accidents, but obviously you also have premise liability injuries where someone gets hurt at a facility or at someone's home. You have dog bites, you have wrongful death, nursing home neglect cases. So you've got a little bit of everything. Trucking. So personal injury is a huge world. But it's, the farthest thing from being an ambulance chaser. So, I would like to call myself a crusader for justice, in the sense that, the insurance companies, they are multi-million-dollar companies. They are plaguing the Fortune 500 list. And it's not because they're out here giving just compensation to people who've been hurt by no fault of their own. Instead, their whole model, their whole premise of staying in business is by, putting as little money in your pocket as possible as a person who's been injured and keeping as much in their savings as possible so they can pay out dividends to their shareholders. So they're a business. And so, the government, these various legislatures have made it a requirement that we be insured. And while, hey, I'm all for staying safe and making sure people can't come after my assets, I still understand that at the end of the day, their focus and their attention is to keep money in their pockets. And so for us as personal injury attorneys, and me specifically, I do a really good job, and my team does a really good job of educating clients. And when we say educate, we want them to understand not just terminology, but we want them to understand the processes as far as how it works, timelines, just things that are going to matter. Because the first thing that an insurance company wants to do as soon as they find out that you've been in an accident, they want to come to you and they want to offer you a quick, easy settlement, and they want to make it appear as though they're your friend and that they're doing you some service or helping you, in this tough time of your life. When in essence, they're just trying to get you out of the way quickly before you wise up and realize, hey, my claim is worth more than the $2,000 that you're trying to offer me. So for me, and the folks here at the firm, it's really about, like I said, education. It's about empowering folks, making sure that they understand their rights, what they're due, something that they're entitled to, and then helping them actually go out and get it. And there's tons of ethical rules that dictate that, but that's how we do it.
And you see all these commercials all the time. Bigger's better, and I wonder sometimes if that's true. In some cases, I bet you it is. But maybe if you're dealing with a class action lawsuit or something like that, that's a little bit different. But like to the individual person, that individual care, a boutique firm like yours is a really good choice. Hopefully I never have to use you. But if I did, I'd be psyched.
Business law side. There you go.
What'd you say?
I said maybe for the business law side, maybe not the personal injury part.
Oh man, I tell people at any given time I've got 20 lawyers working with me.
There you go.
I've got trademark lawyers. I've got patent lawyers. I've got, business lawyers. Everything you could possibly imagine. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of changes going on in copyrights now with AI and all that stuff.
Yeah,
it's going to be fascinating. What was it specifically about law that was appealing to you? You mentioned that you had a family member or someone that was involved in your life that thought they knew. Was that really the beginning of it, the genesis of it?
Absolutely. I think without a doubt, my family tells me all the time, the only thing I've ever said I wanted to be wasn't a lawyer. I at least thought I wanted to be an astronaut at one point in time in my life. They disagree. But yeah, it was, the law governs every part of our life. Every single thing. And while sometimes we don't, recognize it, there's always some kind of rule or regulation ordinance, whether it's, locally by some federal agency that's dictating how we move and operate and have our being, in society. So, it's just so interesting in seeing, sometimes in some regards how it's created, sometimes how it's implemented, sometimes how it's enforced. And so it's just kind of one of those subjects that, like I said, just covers everything. It's involved in everything. And that it's exciting. It's ever changing,
It's fun to work with somebody and help them get paid what they deserve versus what they were offered and win it. Right. So the insurance companies are not necessarily winning, but in some sense they are because they're learning a lesson. Yeah. And at the end of the day, the person's getting what they deserve and you're feeling victorious in that way. Well, we're going to take another break from our second sponsor. And when we come back, we're going to shift gears a little bit, Denzell, and talk about some of the things you do for fun and some of the things that you do in your community, which I love. I think these are important. You're with Denzell, your handsome host, Adam DeGraide, who's struggling with his back again today. I don't know what the heck's going on. I got to get that figured out. But anyway, stay tuned. We'll be right back.
At ISU RMAC Agency, we want to be your one responsible source for all of your insurance needs. From a rocket engineer in California to several hospitals in Illinois, our personal lines team specializes in hard-to-place risks and high-net-worth clientele. With 2 locations and 20-plus agents, we can write in all 50 states to better serve our clients with needs in multiple states. Family-owned and operated since 1962 and 4 generations carrying on the tradition of insurance. Celebrating our 60th year in the industry, we are truly proud of where we have come from and where we are going. With over 300 carriers nationwide, our agency can offer individuals and businesses more choices and better prices. ISU RMAC brings a wide variety of solutions to the table. For more information, visit us online at www.isu-rmac.com.
We're back for our final segment with Denzell and Adam. A couple of things that I loved here and looking on this was you basically have involvement in church. Big part of your life. It looked like to me. Big part of my life as well too. And that you give back. You're always trying to help people learn. Tell the folks a little bit about your personal life and some of the things you do to give back in the community.
Sure thing. So, Community has always been a big part of me. My parents have instilled that in an early age. They were always active in some kind of giving initiative, whether it was through church, whether it was through fraternity and sorority engagement, whether it was through some auxiliary club, whatever it was, but they've always been super active, still are, even though they're quote unquote retired. And so that was just something that they automatically instilled in me. So all throughout, whether it been high school, college, law school, and to this day, obviously, still want to be involved, still want to be engaged, still want to give back. And so, first kind of you got to get, before you can pour into anybody else, you have to be full yourself. I always tell people the pitcher analogy, you can't serve someone if you don't have anything to serve them with. So for me, being involved in church is a huge part. So, regular attendee at, it's called House of Hope here in Atlanta. It's, Greater Travelers Rest in DeKalb County. So I love it. Pastor, Reverend Dr. Edu Smith is the, pastor there. Does a great job of just pouring into, his flock and ensuring that we're empowered. And they have a lot of programs that are geared towards not only teaching and educating us as believers, but also in, helping the community at large. So all kinds of initiatives as far as Tabitha's House, which deals with human trafficking. Also things such as, the kind of typical food drives, coat drives, economic empowerment. And so they do a host of things there, which I've had a chance to get involved with. But then kind of one of the things that's even closer, more and dear to me is working with the students at Booker T. Washington High School over here in West End of Atlanta, where we have a group of young people, young men, grades 9 through 12. And they are, really just kind of coming in to look to be poured into. Because obviously someone did that for me at one point in time. And so what we do is we meet with them every Wednesday during the school year, and we have about an hour with them where we get a chance just to talk about, life skills, about planning, goal setting, SMART goals, what that really looks like. What does that mean? Just a little bit of everything just so that they're prepared for the next step after high school, whether that's trying to get them to schools, graduation, the whole 9 yards. And so they graduate today.
I love that, by the way, because you said something, you have to have something in you to give.
Yeah.
And you breathe in, breathe out. And I love that. Now, what gave you the courage to not join for a big paycheck at a big firm and start your own business?
I think at a young age, again, I just knew that I was going to have to do it my own way. I love learning. And so I love the opportunity to be under other folks, because I think the first person that thinks they knows it all admits that they know nothing. So, having that opportunity to learn under folks who have built large law firms, who have built their own firm, established a brand and a name was huge. And it was something that I wanted to experience off the rip. But I knew at the end of the day, my path wasn't designed to stay working under someone else. And so, for me, my parents, again, one of my greatest examples, my dad's a small business owner. And so he laid that framework to say, hey, look, you want to be, your own boss. You want to set your own terms. And especially now, with being a father of twin boys who are now 2-year-olds and get involved in everything, and knock over everything, having that time to be the husband and the father that I want to be to my wife and my children was a huge driving force as well. So, making sure I'm able to, be at sports events and be at graduations and be at the various activities, or just the fact to be present just to enjoy that time with them and not be tired, at the end of the day. So family, and then just like I said, that drive to do it my way and work with the folks that I think I want to work with.
Folks, I've been doing this interview, and what you don't realize is that I'm getting up, stretching my back out while Denzell is answering the question. And his focus, you definitely want this guy as your attorney. You absolutely want this guy as your attorney. It's amazing. And Denzell, how can people find you?
Yes, so we are on all the social sites. So if you are on Facebook, you can look up Moton Legal Group Atlanta. If you are on LinkedIn, same, Moton Legal Group. And then Instagram, big surprise, it's Moton Legal Group. We try to keep it simple, but obviously you can also search any hashtags, MLG. You can also search a hashtag called FWF, and that's for Footwear Fridays, which is one of the kind of initiatives that I do that blends law and sneakers. So you'll be crazy to find out the comparisons those two worlds have. So that's a big.
I love it. Oh, Denzell, this has been so much fun. Guys, another amazing episode of the David versus Goliath podcast is in the can. Make sure you check him out. Denzell is definitely somebody that if you're having a challenge or if you like sneakers, apparently, you want to. Have you had a good time being here?
Oh man, I loved it. Thank you so much, Adam. You are the bomb, man. And hopefully you get that back straightened out and you're good to go.
Yeah, man, it's just every once in a while, this sciatic just drives me crazy. But anyway, I got to get up and move around. This has been another episode of David versus Goliath. Denzell, thank you so much for your time. Watchers and listeners, we appreciate it. Subscribe it, like it, tweet it, share it, whatever you could do. Get the word out. We appreciate it. Everyone have an awesome day. We'll see you next week.